Okay, today you're going to learn the third way to solve systems of equations, and it's by elimination. The goal is to always get opposite coefficients. So -3 and 3 are opposite coefficients. 12 and -12 are opposite coefficients. Some problems will give them to you automatically, and sometimes you have to multiply a line or both to get the opposite coefficients. So the first thing we are going to start with is we are going to start with this one. If you can tell, I have a positive 5y and I have a negative 5y. They are opposite coefficients, so right away I am just going to add my two lines together. By doing this, I'm going to get 2x plus 6x is 8x. And then I am going to be able to cancel those two out, and 17 plus a -9 is 8. I'm going to divide both sides by 8. X equals 1. I'm not done though, because remember, when we're solving systems, they're technically two linear equations, and we're solving for an xy coordinate. So now that I have 1, I can plug x back into either equation. It doesn't matter. I'm going to plug it back into the first one. 2 times 1 plus 5y equals 17. 2 plus 5y equals 17. Subtract both sides by 2. 5y equals 15. Y equals 3. So my coordinate point is 1, 3. So let's try another one. This top one right here, I have opposite coefficients again. They happen to just both be the y's again. It doesn't matter. I'm going to add both lines together. Negative 8x plus 4x is negative 4x. Those two cancel. 28 plus a negative 24 is 4. Divide both sides by negative 4, and x equals -1. Again, you can plug that x back into either equation to get your y. I'm still going to just do the first one. If you want to try the second one, go see if we get the same value. -8 times a -1 is a positive 8. Subtract both sides by 8. Negative 10y equals 20. Divide both sides by -10. Y equals -2. So my coordinate point is -1, -2. Let's jump to the third one. We have opposite coefficients again that happen to be the y's. They're both positive 1 and -1. Add the two lines together. X plus x is 2x. Cancels. -3 plus a -1 is a -4. Divide both sides by 2. X equals -2. Again, I'm going to plug that guy back in. I'm just going to pick the first one like I always do. -2 plus y equals -3. Add 2. Y equals -1. So my coordinate point is -2, -1. Okay, for my last one, I have a -5x and a 5. I also have a 3 and a -3. So you're going to see what happens when we add those two lines together. -5x plus 5x is 0. 3y plus a -3y is 0. -1 plus a -4 is -5. 0 does not equal -5, so there are no solutions. And these lines are parallel. They will never ever intersect. Alright, sometimes you are going to have to solve for opposite coefficients. So if we look at this one, 16 and 8 aren't opposites, 7 and -2 aren't opposites, so we have to multiply a line by something so that the other line is equivalent to the other line or the opposite of the other line. I can look at my first part and I see that I have a 16 and an 8. In my head, I know 8 times 2 is 16, but again, I want them to be opposites. So since this is a positive 16, I'm going to multiply my bottom line by -2. I'm going to rewrite my first one. I'm going to multiply the -2 in to everything. Do not forget to multiply by the -20. We want the equation to be equivalent. So -16x Negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4y, and 2 times a negative 20 is a positive 40. So now I can add my two lines together. The first ones cancel. I then have 11y equals 6 plus 40 is 66. Divide both by 11, and y equals 6. Again, I'm going to have to solve for my x. So my y is 6. You can plug it into the new equation, but it's easier just to plug it into one of the old ones. Again, I'm just going to pick the top guy. 16x plus 7 times 6 equals 26. 16x plus 42 equals 26. I'm going to subtract 42. 16x equals a negative 16, x equals negative 1. Okay, we're going to skip 6 for now, but do you notice the variables aren't lined up correctly? You want to rewrite one of the equations so they do line up. Since it's a positive 4x, I'm going to write 4x here. Positive 8y, so plus 8y equals negative 24. Okay, and then you can solve the rest by yourself. Let's look at 7. 7, I can create opposite coefficients. I have a 10 and a negative 20. I also have a negative 10 and a positive 20. I know I can multiply this top line by 2. 2 times 10 is 20. So a positive 20, negative 20, and I am set. So 20x, 2 times negative 10 is negative 20y. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. Rewrite my second line. Now, because I have opposite coefficients, I can add them together. 0, 0. Oh, negative 20 plus 20 is also 0. Since 0 equals 0, they are called coinciding lines, where two lines sit on top of each other. So your answer is infinite solutions. Okay, you can try this one with me, or you can pause your video and look a little further to see if we have the same answer. I see I have a 5x minus 14y. I have a negative 6 plus 7y. In my head, I know 7 times 2 is 14, so then I'm going to have a positive 14 and a negative 14. I'm going to multiply that line by 2. 5x minus 14y equals 22. Negative 12x plus 14y equals 6. These two cancel. 5 minus 12 is negative 7x. 22 plus 6 is 28. Divide both sides by negative 7. X equals negative 4. Plug that guy back in. I'm just going to use the top equation. 5 times negative 4 minus 14y equals 22. Negative 20 minus 14y equals 22. Add the 20. Negative 14y equals 42. Therefore, when I divide both sides by negative 14, y equals negative 3. Negative 4, negative 3. Okay, the last set is just when we have to multiply both lines by something. So if I look at my first one, if I look at my first guy here, I have a 5x plus a 4y equals negative 14. And I have a 3x plus 6y equals 6. I can change either variable. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do my x's. So I know I can multiply 5 by 3 to get 15 and 3 by 5 to get 15. But I just need one of my lines to be negative. So what I'm going to do is multiply this top line by a negative 3 to get the negative 15. And I'm going to multiply this line by a positive 5. So from there, I'm just going to multiply in. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x minus 12y equals 42. And a 5 times 3 is 15x plus 30y equals 30. I have my opposite coefficients now. I'm going to add them together, cancel. 18y equals 72. Divide both sides by 18. and y equals 4. Again, you can plug it in back into either equation. I'm going to pick the first one. 5x plus 16 equals negative 14. Subtract 16. 5x equals negative 30. X equals negative 6. So negative 6, comma 4 is your final answer there. All right, let's try one more together. I have a 2x plus 8y equals 6, and I have a negative 5x minus 20y equals negative 15. What I want to do is I want to change one of the variables. It doesn't matter which one. Since 2 is positive and negative 5 is negative, I'm going to make the opposite coefficients 10 and negative 10. I can multiply this guy by 5. 5 times 2 gets me the 10. I can multiply this guy by a positive 2. So that's 2 times negative 5. It's negative 10. So 10x plus 16y equals 30. Negative 10x minus 40y equals negative 30. Cancel. This gets me negative 40 plus 16 is 24y equals 0. I can divide both sides by 24. Oh, sorry guys, I messed this one up. 5 times 2 is 10x plus 40y equals 30. And negative 10x minus 40y equals negative 30. Add them together, 0, 0, 0. So again, I have a 0 equals 0, which means infinitely many solutions. Coinciding lines. All right, because I messed that one up, let's try another one together. I have an 8x plus 3y equals negative 7, and I have a 7x plus 2y equals negative 3. I'm going to change my y's. 3 times 2 is 6. I just need to make one of them negative. So 3 times a negative 2 gets me negative 6. So therefore, I'm going to multiply this line by a positive 3, so that 3 times 2 is a positive 6. Negative 16x minus 6y equals 14. 21x plus 6y equals negative 9. Add my two lines together. 5x equals 5. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 1. Plug it back in. I'm going to just use the first equation. 8 plus 3y equals negative 7. Subtract 8. 3y equals negative 15. So y equals negative 5. 1 comma negative 5 is my solution. My very last one. I can multiply either line. I'm going to just stick with y for this one. I know 4 times 9 is 36, and 9 times 4 is 36. So I'm going to multiply this top line by 9, so that gets me a positive 36. I'm going to multiply this line by 4 to get me a negative 36. So 45x plus 36y equals negative 270. That's going to give me a 12x minus 36y equals negative 72. Cancels. 57x equals okay, so when I add 270 plus 72 together, I get negative 342. So then I divide both sides by 57, and x equals negative 6. So when I plug that guy back in, I'm just going to use the first one. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Add 30. 4y equals 0. Divide both sides by 4. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So my coordinate point is negative 6, 0. All right, if you have any questions, please make sure you come see me during class. Have a great night.